It was Fiesta season in a small rural village in Capiz. The scent of grilled meat and sweet rice cakes filled the air as the sky glowed with vibrant paroles swaying gently in the breeze. The streets buzzed with laughter, the clinking of bottles, and the unmistakable screech of an old karaoke machine blasting power ballads into the night. Every corner of the barangay came alive with celebration. Children played tumbang preso under makeshift light bulbs. Old men sat in plastic chairs sharing bottles of gin, and women danced barefoot to the beat of the music. It was a night of joy, a time to forget hardship and come together as a community. Among the revelers was Liza, a quiet and modest 16-year-old rarely seen outside her home. Her skin was pale from staying indoors, and her long black hair always tucked behind her ears. That night, her mother, after much pleading, allowed her to join her cousins at the plaza. Liza wore a simple red blouse and denim skirt, her eyes wide with excitement and nerves. She smiled shyly as her cousins pulled her into the crowd, encouraging her to sing, eat, and dance. For the first time in a long while, she felt like she belonged. But as the night deepened, an uneasy chill settled in the air. The laughter seemed to fade just a little. Somewhere near the trees by the edge of the plaza, a pair of eyes watched her, cold, unblinking. She felt it. A presence. Not someone from the village. Not someone who belonged. And then, for just a second, she thought she saw a figure, a silhouette lingering in the shadows. Watching her. Waiting. While people danced and sang around her, Liza stood quietly by the side of the road, sipping a cup of juice through a pink straw. She let her gaze wander past the crowd, past the flickering paroles and rows of food stalls, until her eyes settled on the far end of the street, near the small chapel where the lanterns didn't quite reach. There, under the dim glow of a lone streetlight, stood a tall man dressed entirely in black. He didn't move. He didn't speak. He just stood there, still as stone, staring directly at her. Liza blinked, unsure if her eyes were playing tricks on her. The man's face was partly shadowed, but she could feel the intensity of his gaze. It cut through the noise and color of the fiesta like a cold blade. She searched her memory, trying to place him. He wasn't from their village. In a small community like theirs, everyone knew everyone, but this man was a stranger. And he wasn't celebrating. He wasn't eating. He wasn't laughing. He was just watching. A chill crept down Liza's spine. She looked away quickly, pretending she hadn't seen him, and tried to laugh along with her cousins who were teasing each other over who could sing the highest note in a karaoke battle. She even forced a smile, hoping the unease would fade. But it didn't. As the music swelled and the crowd danced around her, Liza felt it, that weight pressing on her shoulders. A presence, unseen, but undeniably real. It clung to her like a shadow, cold and heavy. She glanced back toward the chapel. The man was gone, but the feeling wasn't. Something was following her, and it wasn't going to stop. By midnight, the vibrant energy of the fiesta had started to wane. The music from the karaoke machine slowed to love ballads, and the once rowdy crowd had thinned. Older folks made their way home, arms linked, their laughter echoing faintly in the night air. Children, exhausted from the excitement, were curled up on benches and woven mats near the stage, their cheeks sticky with sugar and smiles frozen in sleep. Liza and her cousins decided to grab some cotton candy before heading home. The small stand was tucked down a quiet side street, lit only by a flickering bulb and the warm orange glow of a nearby sari-sari store. They giggled as they walked, teasing each other and chatting about the night's events, who sang off-key, who danced the funniest. But when they turned around to say something to Liza, she wasn't there. At first, they laughed, thinking she was lagging behind or playing a prank. "Hoy, Liza," one cousin called out, peering back into the darkened street. No answer. They waited a few moments. Still nothing. Growing uneasy, they retraced their steps slowly, calling her name louder this time. They checked the road where they had just walked, then veered off to the side, scanning the chapel steps and its shadowed corners. The doors were locked, the windows dark. Liza was nowhere in sight. They asked nearby vendors if they had seen her. No one had. Panic began to rise in their voices as they split up, searching every alley and side street. They looked behind carts, under tables, and even in the overgrown bushes beside the chapel. Nothing. Not a single sign of her. No footprints. No dropped slipper. Not even the empty cup she had been sipping from earlier. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. The once joyful night had turned cold and silent. The cousins huddled together, fear creeping into their hearts as they realized something was terribly wrong. Someone ran to tell Liza's mother. Others continued searching, voices growing more frantic. But deep down, in the pit of their stomachs, they already knew. Liza didn't just wander off. Something had taken her, and it was still out there. Panicked and breathless, Liza's cousins ran to her house and pounded on the door. Her mother, startled and still half-dressed for bed, opened it with a confused look. But when she saw their faces, pale, trembling, and near tears, her heart sank. "She's gone, Tita," one of the cousins said in a shaky voice. "We can't find her anywhere." Within minutes, the entire household was awake. The alarm spread quickly across the village like wildfire. The elders rang the small community bell near the barangay hall, a sound reserved only for emergencies. The local watchmen grabbed flashlights, BLO knives, and radios. Some brought dogs. Others lit torches. Everyone who could help joined the search. Only an hour had passed since Liza's disappearance, but the air already felt different, heavy, tense, filled with dread. It wasn't like a child had simply gotten lost. No one said it aloud, but deep down, they all knew. Something was wrong. Terribly wrong. They scoured the entire plaza, the chapel, and nearby alleys again, but then one of the searchers called out from behind the stage, near the edge of the wooded area. "Dolly, come here." The others rushed over. There, half buried in the soft soil and leaves, was a white handkerchief. It was delicate and slightly torn, but clearly embroidered with red thread. Liza. Her mother fell to her knees when she saw it. The handkerchief was cold and damp, as if it had been soaked in something foul. It emitted a strange, metallic odor, neither blood nor sweat, but something unfamiliar, unnatural. The scent clung to the air, making some of the men gag. Then they saw the footprints. Dozens of them, scattered around the spot. But these weren't human. They were long, far too long, thin, almost skeletal, and twisted in a way that defied normal movement. They curved unnaturally, like something crawled or slithered upright. No animal in Capiz, or anywhere in the Philippines, left tracks like that. "What kind of creature?" one elder whispered, crossing himself. The dogs barked wildly, refusing to go near the area. The torches flickered, though there was no wind. And somewhere, deeper in the woods, something let out a low, guttural sound. Not quite a growl, not quite a scream. Something ancient had woken up, and it had taken Liza. The next day, as the sun rose over the quiet village, a thick unease lingered in the air. Liza was still missing. The search had gone on through the night, but no new clues had surfaced. People gathered in hushed groups, whispering prayers and speculations. Then, just before noon, an old man appeared at the edge of the plaza, uninvited, yet somehow expected. It was Hricko, a healer from a nearby town known not only for treating the sick, but for his strange ability to sense energies no one else could. Some called him a mangkukulam, others a spirit guide. Whatever he was, the villagers gave way as he walked toward the center of the plaza without saying a word. He stood still, eyes closed, breathing in the air as if listening to something no one else could hear. After a long silence, he opened his eyes and spoke in a low, gravelly voice. "This wasn't an ordinary disappearance," he said. "Something marked the girl." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Hricko continued, "There is an old tale. Every Fiesta season, when the veil between worlds is thin, a creature comes. It walks among you. Looks like one of you. But it isn't." He paused, then turned toward the wooded area behind the stage. "It's an Aswang, a shapeshifter. A demon in human skin. It comes for someone pure. A girl. Always quiet, kind, and untouched by darkness. Once it chooses, there's no going back." The villagers grew pale. Some crossed themselves. Others clutched their children tighter. Mang Isco looked toward the trees. She was chosen. And somewhere in the distance, a crow let out a sharp, echoing cry. Days passed, and still, there was no sign of Liza. Her parents were inconsolable. Her mother sat by the window every night, clutching Liza's favorite shawl, eyes swollen from crying. Her father, once strong and proud, now barely spoke, his face hollow and sunken from sleepless nights. But grief wasn't the only thing haunting their home. Every night, without fail, they heard scratching sounds on their rooftop, long, deliberate strokes, like claws dragging across sheet metal. It would start just after midnight and go on for hours. When her father gathered the courage to check, he found nothing. No branches, no animals, no marks, just silence. Then came the sightings. One neighbor, Aling Rosa, claimed she saw a tall figure pass by Liza's window one night. It was dressed in black, impossibly thin, and moved without sound. She swore it had no face, just a blank, pale surface where eyes and a mouth should have been. She blinked, and it was gone. No footprints, no trace. Out of fear, the family began placing garlic cloves along every doorway and windowsill, an old folk practice meant to repel evil. The elders advised them to light a blessed candle at dusk and keep it burning until dawn. The flame flickered violently some nights, as if reacting to something unseen. Still, nothing changed. Liza didn't return, and the house grew colder. The villagers stopped calling it a search. They stopped hoping for good news. They avoided walking near the family's home at night, and children were told never to look out the window after dark. Because deep down, everyone knew. This was no longer a missing person case. Something dark had taken Liza, and it wasn't finished yet. A week after Liza's disappearance, the entire village gathered at the chapel for a special prayer vigil. The once lively community was now cloaked in fear and sorrow. The colorful lanterns from the Fiesta still hung, but they no longer brought joy, only a haunting reminder of the night everything changed. People prayed fervently, clutching rosaries and whispering novenas. The air inside the chapel felt heavy, like something unseen lingered among them. Candles flickered despite the absence of wind, and outside, the sky was unnaturally overcast. Then, in the middle of the prayer, a little girl screamed. I saw Aunt Liza. Behind the chapel, chaos erupted. The congregation rushed outside, their hearts pounding with hope and fear. They hurried around the back of the chapel, toward the shadowed patch of trees. There, in the clearing, stood a figure. It was the shape of a girl, about Liza's height and build, but there was something terribly wrong. Her face was smooth and featureless, like a blank canvas. She cast no shadow, even under the fading afternoon sun. In her hands, she clutched something small and white. Someone gasped. It was the handkerchief, the one with Liza's name embroidered in red. A few brave souls stepped closer, calling her name. But before they could reach her, the figure slowly began to dissolve, turning into a thin, gray smoke that vanished into the air like mist at dawn. Silence fell over the crowd. Tears returned, and with them, a deeper dread. The hope they had clung to slipped away, replaced by a grim truth. Since that day, every fiesta in the village has been marked not by joy, but by fear. Every year, one girl goes missing, always quiet, always kind, always innocent. And the elders whisper warnings to their daughters, never stare too long at someone you don't know. They might not be human, because in Capiz, the line between the living and the supernatural is thin. And once you're chosen, there's no going back. What would you do if one of your friends vanished in the middle of a celebration without a single trace? Would you keep searching? Would you dare to go into the woods alone? Or would you start to wonder, who's watching you now?